The hat trick from Alexander Isak made all the headlines, but is this a 10 out of 10 performance for the entire team? Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody, and welcome out to the Newcastle United Digest, the channel delivering you tuned content in bite-sized chunks. My name is Adam Snyder, and this episode will be all about Saturday's victory against Ipswich at Portman Road. This match was a ton of fun to watch, especially the first half, and I'll be giving you my reaction to both the first half, the second half, and giving you my ratings by position for everything. Was this a 10 out of 10 game? I'll let you know. We'll get into it right away. And just like me diving into things right away, Newcastle dove into scoring right away. 26 seconds into this game, after Ipswich flooded the kickoff, Newcastle threw it in, moved it around, pinged the ball to Murphy on the right-hand side. Once he was able to get off to the races, he got a cross in. Ipswich defender was able to get the ball, and this will be the theme of the game, is a poor clearance out to Isak, and he was able to volley it home, skip it off the turf, and beat the keeper on his short side. As soon as that happened, the flag went up, and after a 3-minute long VAR review, Newcastle was awarded the goal, and it was very quickly 1-0. One of the things I noticed after this goal is we started to get a little bit sloppy. We had a lot of turnovers, and then more turnovers, and more turnovers. And it wasn't just from your usual suspects like Murphy or Bruno. It was everybody turning the ball over at various times. And it was very, very frustrating to watch until Murphy scored. And he had an opportunity or two before this. Gordon had an opportunity or two before this. But the Murphy goal was another great team goal all around. This all started with a challenge that Tonali made in midfield. It was well-timed, very clean, and he immediately feeds the ball to Willock. He gets it to Isak. Isak finds Gordon streaking into the penalty area on the left-hand side. Initially, he went for the shot, but he very quickly realized that 4 or 5 of Ipswich's defenders were kind of clamping him down, tried to walk it across the top of the penalty area, still couldn't find a shot available. And then he saw Jacob Murphy just standing there with like a 1.5 yard, 2 yard pocket of space all around him. He's able to get the touch off to him. Murphy's able to get one touch and then snap a shot off the bottom of the crossbar and in. Jacob Murphy is on the same run of form that Miggy Almiron was on 2 years ago, and it definitely shows. And he's having an absolute blast doing it. In fact, if you want to go and look at a celebration, it is very reminiscent of a certain Jamie Tart celebration in the first season of Ted Lasso. May. If you know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about, you got a good laugh out of it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Ted Lasso. Watch the first season. You'll get it right away. Now, Isak's second goal was a gimme. This is the kind of goal that Eddie Howe is going to use for a long time to show his team just what it means to press and how important it is to press. Because when you press teams that have very fragile defenses, like Ipswich does, it pays off. The Ipswich defender passed it back to the keeper. He held on to it for a little bit too long and allowed Bruno to push up even further. And for whatever reason, keeper passes it through the middle of his penalty area right to what was supposed to be to a defender, but the pass was so bad, it was dead on arrival. Bruno intercepts it, gets the ball to Isak, who's just sitting there like, okay, I guess I'm going to score now. He takes one touch, freezes the keeper, and then just digs it below him for the second goal. There were a couple of decent Ipswich chances in the first half as well. One of them was a ball that went over the bar that I didn't think Livramento was positioned on very well. In fact, he was a bit squared to the ball and allowed him to be out of position, allowed the defender to go right by him and get a shot off. And then there was another one on a rush where Shearer was a little bit overcommitted, and because of that, they were able to find a through ball that was thread between him and Tino and Byrne. Tino was nowhere close to it, and Dubravka was able to come off his line, identify it right away, and he was able to clear the ball over, and he was able to corral the ball right away. My final thoughts in the first half: it was amazing to see 3 very different goals that highlight and showcase Eddie Howe's philosophy of how he coaches a team. I know that I was one of those people about a month or so ago that thought that Eddie Howe might be on the way out, but I'm very happy to say I think he's turned things around, and I'm happy that he did because I want him to stay around. I didn't want him to go, but I could start seeing the signs that maybe it was time. And I think there's no better time for things to turn around than now. And in the second half, you saw Newcastle show a very different side of their play that we didn't see a lot of in the first half. The first goal was a long ball down the side with a cross. The second goal was off an interception and a quick counter off of a Tonali interception. The third goal was off of the press and with a quick 1-2 from Bruno and Isak. This time we saw a beautifully worked team goal with a fantastic build out of midfield. And before this goal even happened, I remember saying, this is amazing work out of midfield. It started with Tonali collecting the ball, finding Murphy, who passed it quickly back to Livramento, who quickly found Bruno in midfield. And once Bruno collected that ball, it was off to the races for Tino and Murphy. Bruno found Gordon sitting in the middle, and Isak was kind of lurking in the right-hand side. Tino was quickly able to make a run up, but he dummied the ball to Isak. Isak was quickly dispossessed, and Murphy was right there to collect it. Once that happened, Jacob Murphy was able to make a nice little move and freeze a defender, cut back, drew 3 more Ipswich defenders to him, and made a cheeky little back heel between all 4 of them. And he found Isak sitting right at the top of the 6-yard box and was able to just toe poke it through a defender's legs and pass the goalkeeper for his hat-trick goal. It wasn't the prettiest of finishes, but who cares? A goal's a goal, and a hat-trick's a hat-trick. Not too long after that, you saw the first round of subs come in. Harvey Barnes replaced Jacob Murphy, Kieran Trippier replaced Tino Livramento, and Sean Longstaff replaced Joe Willock. Willock had a chance in the second half that he skied it over the bar, but after he struck it, it looked like he was either taken out or he landed on somebody's ankle. He didn't look right after that. So, and it's understandable that Eddie pulled him off after that because Willock's still dealing with some injury niggles, and hopefully he is still able to play over the next couple of matches in the next week. After this, you still saw Newcastle pressing forward and getting a lot of chances. You saw Harvey Barnes get a good chance. You saw Bruno put a header off the post. Then you also saw another couple of subs that came on, and one of them was a really special one to see. The first one was Miggy Almiron came on for Alexander Isak, and Bruno came off for Lewis Miley. This was Miley's first Premier League appearance since March, where he got an assist in the 3-2 loss against Chelsea. And even up until the very end, they were still pressing and pushing forward and creating chances. Even Dan Burn was able to get a shot on goal and score a goal, but it was deemed offside quickly afterwards. My overall thoughts for this game were very, very positive. Obviously, it's kind of hard not to be positive after a 4-0 win. There are some things that did worry me throughout this game, and I'll talk about those in my position rankings, but it's hard to argue with a 4-0 scoreline. Even with the changes, Newcastle kept the hammer down and continued to create chance after chance after chance throughout the second half. And even Big Dan Burn was able to poke one home, even if it was deemed offside. This was another game that the lads can use to bank some confidence momentum as the fixtures get tougher and tougher after Christmas and into 2025. And speaking of those ratings by position, let's go into those right away, shall we? For goalkeeper, I'm going to give Martin Dubravka's performance a 10 out of 10. This was probably the toughest and busiest appearance that Dubravka has had since Pope's injury, and it still wasn't that difficult. He was alert to come off his line on that through ball in the first half. He made a quality save in the second half, and for me, I thought that the save that he did have to make for a professional goalkeeper was like a 6 or 7 out of 10, and he did really well to parry the rebound to Lewis Hall, who quickly cleared it out of danger. It's this type of awareness and know-how where his defenders are that makes him a quality shot stopper, and his distribution was quite good throughout this game as well. Defense, I'm going to give them an 8.5 out of 10 for this game. Yes, they got a clean sheet, but there were a couple of weaknesses that Ipswich did expose that I think other teams could expose later on that could make things a lot more difficult. There were a couple of through balls that squeaked through Burn and Share, and on one attack, Livramento was caught square, and he was beaten pretty badly. But fortunately, the shot went wide and over the bar. But if he gets caught square like that against higher quality individuals that are on much higher skilled teams, those could very easily lead to goals. So for those reasons, I'm going to give them an 8.5 out of 10 for this game. Midfield, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. They played yet another amazing game. They dominated the middle third of the park once again, and it's further apparent that Eddie Howe has figured out how to unlock Sandro Tonali and his ability to contribute to the side. His relaxed confidence oozed through that midfield. He was able to stick in tackles when he needed to and open up space with his passing. It was beautiful, beautiful. Chef's kiss. A beautiful thing to see on display. They also did well to contribute to the press, and that pressure led to Bruno getting an assist on Isak's second goal. Why didn't they get a 10 out of 10, you ask? The point was lost through that series of giveaways, the kind of sloppy play that I saw in the first half. The forwards, I'm going to give them a 9.5 out of 10. Isak gets a hat trick, Murphy gets a goal and assist, and Murphy contributes to Isak's goal in 25 seconds. So why did they get a 10 out of 10? Giveaways. Jacob Murphy contributed to some of that sloppiness in the middle of the first half. It wasn't as bad as the midfield sloppiness, but for that reason and what it could have led to, they get a 9.5 out of 10 in this one. In real time, this was frustrating to watch, but in the grand scheme of the game, it didn't matter. But it can if it leads to bad habits going forward. And for set pieces, I almost wanted to give this an incomplete or not applicable, but I'm just going to give them a 10 out of 10. There were not a lot of dead ball opportunities for either team. I mean, Ipswich had 2 corners, Newcastle had 1. Ipswich couldn't do anything with a long throw-in. The free kicks weren't really a factor for this game on either side of the ball. So because they didn't significantly contribute or detract from our performance today, they get a 10 out of 10. And Eddie Howe's substitutions, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 for this game. It was great to see Lewis Miley get some minutes in this game, but it was a little bit baffling to see Anthony Gordon stay on the pitch and give Isak and Murphy a rest. I understand Isak. I would have rather seen Gordon come off for Murphy instead. Gordon has had his fair share of fitness issues this season, and they stemmed from not really getting a proper preseason while he was in the England camp. It would have been nice to see him get a little bit of a breather before the next round of festive fixtures roll around. Overall, that gives this game, just like last one, a 9.3 out of 10. A 10 out of 10 game was marred by some sloppy play throughout the first half. Thankfully, the Tractor Boys were a bit too slow to capitalize on those opportunities, and Isak's hat trick was class from literally the first minute until he was subbed off. And that will do it for this episode of the Newcastle United Digest. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you've made it this far, be sure to like it, and if you're not a subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know whenever new episodes are coming out. And also, if you really like this video and really enjoyed my point of view on the match or any other match that you've seen me discuss, be sure to share any of those videos in your group chats or wherever else you're talking Newcastle United. Any chance I get to make a good first impression on a new person that enjoys Newcastle United, I'm happy to do it. And if you want to discuss anything, leave a comment below. I will be very quick to answer them. So lastly, if I don't see you before then, have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you sometime after Boxing Day. So ho, 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 way the lads. Bye for now.